I do not think that the two ports are in competition. We have 150 million people across East Africa who are depending on these two ports, all of which are operating far below their capabilities and need a lot of help to become stronger and better. But if you want to know, as an example, between Cape Town and Durban, this is just one country, there are 12 ports. And this is one country. So I do not understand the logic of wanting to have one port or the other. And the countries of East Africa, Tanzania alone is bordered by almost 9 countries, okay, that are landlocked. Not exactly directly, but I think 6 countries are landlocked that border Tanzania. Kenya is bordered by countries that are landlocked, from Chad to South Sudan or and so on, and even Ethiopia. All these rely on a port that was built, I think, to support the construction of a small railway line from Mombasa to wherever, so many years ago. We have a lot of work to do in infrastructure improvements. The two ports are not enough. Their capacities are nowhere near enough. We need, if possible, even more ports. We really need to move away from this idea of Tanzania competing against Kenya or vice versa. I think what we need to look at is whether East Africa is going to become an attractive investment destination for global investors. And when investors are making that calculation, they are not going to be looking at one port against the other. They're going to be looking at what is the total capacity of these two ports, and the efficiency of these ports compared to the ports elsewhere.
We hit the millionth container last year, as you know. Most of that is bound for Nairobi and beyond. So it's what we call a truly corridor port. If you look at the port of Dar-es-Salaam, actually 90% is due within Dar-es-Salaam itself. So they're quite different ports, and you could argue that they really don't compete in the same market. So I tend to totally agree with Ali on that. But I think the point he's made is that trade is booming, and demand from countries is growing very quickly. The capacity of the ports to deal with the levels of growth and trade means that we need to expand and diversify and get more ports onto the coast. And I think, there's Lamu plan to come on stream. There's also talk of Bagamoyo, Mtwara in Tanzania is a huge port now for the gas reserves coming off onshore. So, I don't think you can just characterize it as two ports. We should be thinking about how ports can be a really efficient gateway to economic progress and growth. We actually just scaled up our work on ports because they're really so important at actually determining the cost of trade. About 50% of the time delays are due to the ports. Now, at Mombasa, we've got a program now of about 100 million.
Dollars.
$100 million,
yeah.
Yep, sorry. And broadly at Dar-es-Salaam, around the same. We've just scaled up both, so it's around $200 million in both port programs. And that's a mixture between physical infrastructure at the ship-shore interface, then the efficiency of the yards, how you stack containers, and then critically, how you get them out. Because that's the critical thing. You need to get them out quickly and deliver to the customers cheaply. So we focus on those 3 different things. And I'm glad to say we'll be launching the construction of the new Port Reitz Road that'll be linking up in Mombasa. We'll be doing that, I think, in the next couple of months. So that gives you an indication. But it's a mixture between hardware, infrastructure, and software productivity.